this type of attack is becoming sadly familiar, and troops responded very swiftly, but not enough to avoid 2 casualties. Can anything more be done to counter such acts?
Well, we've been tackling this exact question for many months and years, if you will, and I think France has done a brilliant job so far. I mean, if you think about it, Operation Sentinelle was under investigation, not under investigation, but it was questioned quite heavily if it does make sense to put them everywhere out in the streets, in the train stations, etc. And I think we need to admit and we need to see that it does make sense, because the response time was very, very quickly, which means that the attacker had less time to create more casualties. So yes, this was a very good thing indeed.
Well, that's the response side of things. What about prevention? Are there improvements or adjustments that could be made on the intelligence side of things to fight terrorism?
This specifically is not just an issue that France need to look at, but whole Europe. What a lot of people talk about is that we need more intelligence sharing, that we need one central database, because the problem is that a lot of the terrorists that we look at travel from one country to the other, and police forces, law enforcement, but also intelligence services are not always able to keep track of their movements. So this is one thing. Macron has also mentioned this recently in his speech where he addressed the European Union, that we need more intelligence sharing. So this is something that can be improved on. Obviously, we see massive SCP, situational crime prevention measures everywhere where we have festivals. So this means like bullets in the streets, high security, high numbers of police forces in the streets. So there is done enough already, but obviously you can't always decimate it to zero.
And briefly, if you would, is this area, the southern area of Marseille, known as a hub for radicalized elements?
It's hard to say that it's a hub, but looking at France's biggest cities, capitals, Marseille is certainly a city where you have higher crime rates compared to other cities. And you have people that travel from Spain, from the Maghreb, through Marseille, Toulouse, other cities when they go to Paris or to, Belgium, for example. But I wouldn't call this a hub necessarily.